Good morning and happy third Friday of Lent. Our gospel comes from Mark today, and here it is. One of the scribes came to Jesus and asked him, "Which is the first of all the commandments?" Jesus replied, "The first is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." The scribe said to him, "Well said, teacher. You are right in saying, He is one, and there is no other than He. And to love Him with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is worth more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices." And when Jesus saw that he answered with understanding, he said to him, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." And no one dared to ask him any more questions. It's a powerful gospel reading from Mark, and I think Jesus is inviting us to reflect on what is most important. And his answer is God and others. God and neighbor, God and people, persons. And although we don't wish to be in the situation that we're in, to be quarantined, to be in a near shutdown state, I think one of the great graces that's being offered to us is to use the time we have to think about this. What is most important to me personally? Is what's most important to me God and my neighbor, or other things? So we're quarantined, right? What does that mean? That means many of us, we can't go to work. It means the bars, the restaurants, the non-essential places that we tend to frequent, we can't go to. And like I said, I don't want to diminish the importance of work. People need to be able to provide for their families, etc. But I think it's true, if we're honest, that for many of us, work, restaurants, bars, for many of us, these things are like little idols. We give our time, we give our attention to these things, to the exclusion of what is most important, namely God and people, persons, our neighbor. So the great grace for us is to think, how am I with God? If we're being stripped away of these other things, right? We have to confront ourselves, we have to confront God, other people, in a deeper and in a more profound way. Where am I with God? Where am I with my neighbor? Starting with those closest to me, my own family. But don't just think in the abstract. We have to get very practical. Do I take time for God? Do I nurture and nourish my relationship with God through prayer? What are my sins? What are the things that are putting up obstacles between me and God and the loving relationship He desires to have with me? When was the last time I made a good confession? Sunday's coming up in 2 days. Have I made provisions to be able to watch Mass online or through the television? Right? So, how am I with God practically? Now, the order matters, because if we are right with God, then we're going to be right with each other. So, our union with Christ flows into our union with our brothers and sisters. How am I with them? What are my words? What do I say to them? What are my actions? What do I do? What do I not do? What are my omissions? Right? How can I lift them up? How can acts of charity, acts of love become more part of my life in the way I deal with those around me, especially those closest, right? Family, my wife, my husband, my children. So in today's gospel, Jesus is asking us to go deeper. He's asking us, stop being superficial. The superficial things are being stripped away. And His grace is in this deeper encounter with God and with our brothers and sisters. So let's go to Our Lady, Mother Mary, and ask her to help us to be very honest. To be very honest about where I am with God, where I am with my brothers and sisters, and to never doubt God's mercy, and that each day is a great day to begin again.